when they tell you to eat your peas.
Please.
Eat your peas.
Just try.
You gotta try it out. You
Will
don't
you?
know if you like something until you
Try it.
You gotta try it out. That's my point.
That was the lesson that the president was teaching today from Green Eggs and Ham, but I wonder if that's how he perceives the presidency as well.
And something tells me that Sasha and Malia have heard that spiel about vegetables before. Top Line starts right now.
Welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And it's twitter.com/The Note. Stay informed on this opening day. Last night was just an exhibition game. Yankees didn't really lose.
Really?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's how it goes down in the record books.
Sticking to it.
Okay, get us started. What's your top line?
Race card. Michael Steele's campaign to make life as miserable and difficult for himself as possible seems to continue. This morning on Good Morning America, he says that his race is a factor in the way that he's perceived, that he has a bit of a shorter leash than another chairman who is not African-American might have. And this is another one of these classic Michael Steele cases where even if it's the truth, it is not the message that he needs to be sending right now to a lot of anxious Republicans. Michael Steele is not making anything easy on himself.
I mean, he has talked about his race in conjunction with his role as chairman of the RNC and in comparing himself to Barack Obama for over a year since he's taken over the chairmanship. But what was missing from this interview was any kind of apology for the behavior. He seemed somewhat sort of disgruntled that he even had to be sitting in a chair and giving an interview when he just came through a really tough week for his organization. I'm not sure he cleared the decks today. Rough day. Yeah, that's what the president has on his schedule today. He already kicked off the Easter egg roll. You saw him reading a book there to some kids on the White House lawn. Now he heads over to Nationals Park to throw out the first pitch at the baseball game there where the Nats and the Phillies are taking each other on. It still feels a little bit like spring break around here.
This is one of those days where it's just fun to be the president. I mean, what's so bad about this? It's a gorgeous day. He's outside playing with kids, some baseball, but serious business by the middle of the week at least. Sweet revenge. This must feel good. Rudy Giuliani today is in Florida where he's campaigning for the Senate candidate Marco Rubio against Charlie Crist. Now, there's great history here from the 2008 campaign when Rudy Giuliani pinned his whole Florida strategy on getting the endorsement that he says he was promised from Charlie Crist. Of course, Crist went with John McCain, and now Rudy Giuliani gets to have a blast and say, hey, I'm Marco Rubio guy all the way.
This is just all about a little dig right there into Charlie Crist. And vacancy watch. Yes, it was about a month ago when Justice Stevens told The New Yorker that he would decide in about a month about his future. He gave interviews to the Washington Post and the New York Times on Friday. Those interviews ran over the weekend. He tells the New York Times that he realizes he has to fish or cut bait. And so now the drumbeat begins. He's almost 90 years old. His potential retirement is now cause for getting short lists sprouting up everywhere you go. But this White House very likely may have another court appointment.
Yes, and the politics are just entirely different. Even though the balance of the court doesn't change, the context for this appointment in the midterm election year when things have changed so much in the national political climate, entirely different if we have another confirmation fight this summer.
Because it is indeed this midterm election year, and that's where we begin with one of the hot races in this midterm election year. We are joined via Skype with Lieutenant Governor Bill Halter. He's the Democratic candidate for Senate from Arkansas who's trying to take on, is taking on Blanche Lincoln, the incumbent Democratic senator. Lieutenant Governor Halter, thank you very much for being with us. I want to begin by asking you one of the big critiques that you have made against Blanche Lincoln and sort of rationale for why you're running is that she's sort of inside Washington. You need perspective from the outside. But you've got promises from labor unions, the most inside group there is, Democratic interest group, pledging to give you $4 million. What is more inside than that, sir?
Well, I have to say a lot of this depends on what you think needs to be done in Arkansas in terms of representing average working Arkansans. That's where the focus is. And I'm proud of the contributions that we're receiving. I'm sure you guys have also noticed that we've been receiving contributions from literally over 35,000 folks from around the country, with the average contribution being $30. Contrast that with some of the other folks in the race who are getting PAC contributions from lobbyists, and the average contribution size is well over $1,000. So I think what we're looking at here is really the power of individual voters and people in Arkansas taking on some pretty powerful special interests. If you look down the contribution rolls of one of my opponents in this race, I think what you're going to see is that She's getting contributions in the hundreds of thousands and in some cases in the millions of dollars from insurance companies, from Wall Street, from other folks who have a great financial interest in the legislation that has been before the Senate. By contrast, I'm getting contributions from folks $30, $35, $10 at a time. And the contributions that are coming in with nice notes saying, look, we're for you because we think Washington's taking advantage of us. I'm proud of what we're doing, and it feels really good out here.
On that point, calling up your Twitter feed, you have a line in there in your description, your bio, Washington is no longer on the side of Arkansas families. I'm curious about that. I mean, Democrats control every lever of politics in Washington. Where have Democrats gone wrong in your view? Is it the health care bill? Is it something else where you feel like Washington is not on Arkansas's side?
Well, and it's Arkansans. I don't want to get you in trouble with the folks down here. But look, let's take an example that's very much on people's minds. That's the Wall Street bailout. Arkansans wake up and they see that $700 billion of their tax dollars have gone into bailing out banks and Wall Street institutions. At the same time, unemployment's at a 25-year high. On top of that, small businesses around the state are having great difficulty getting a loan, getting the credit they need to expand their business. You pile all of that together and then add on top that people wake up to banner headlines about Wall Street executives and investment bankers getting literally tens of billions of dollars in bonuses. It's no wonder there's frustration out here.
I totally get that frustration. I understand it, and I think it's real out in the country. But do you not believe that TARP program, that financial bailout, helped save the economy from the brink?
What I believe is there should have been a lot more accountability involved. It should have had much greater oversight, and I think that would have helped to prevent some of these terrible tales that people are seeing. But in addition to that, I think that this builds into a point that is much more prevalent out here, and that's about the power of special interest to get their way in major pieces of legislation.
But if the president and the Treasury Secretary and your leadership came to you and said that we're about to fall off a cliff or you're going to vote for this, you would have voted no on that?
No, what I'm saying is let's put some accountability in there so that we don't have the type of backlash and we don't have the type of waste that we've seen, and we don't have the folks out here being as concerned and as upset about it. Look, keep in mind, I was part of a team that balanced the federal budget for the first time in 40 years. I'm very proud of that, okay? There is a way to put these programs in place that leads to accountability, that leads to Arkansans believing that the government can be on their side. Certainly now, what you've seen over and over again, and look, I know you guys already believe this. I know you're just asking the question. I mean, but the bottom line is there is right now, if you ask Arkansans who's calling the shots in Washington, they're going to tell you special interests that have a financial stake in the outcome.
I want to ask you about the broad message of your campaign. Obviously, your opponent in the primary, Senator Lincoln, is making her case based on being a moderate, based on being an independent voice for Arkansans. Thanks for the catch. But your challenge is really coming from the left of the party, a lot of the support that you're getting. Is that the best matchup for a general election? Is that how you win in Arkansas, is running to the left?
With respect, I reject this idea that this is a left-right battle. Look, the fact is there are a lot of the positions that I've taken and a lot of the things that I've done in my career that would be widely viewed as conservative by some folks. I think most people would view balancing the federal budget not through the prism of conservative, moderate, or liberal, but just basic common sense. I think that it's easy for folks to try to summarize a race in one-word descriptions, but honestly, I don't see it that way. I see it from the context instead of working to put government back on the side of Arkansans. Let me give you an example, real-life experience here. In 2006, I ran against a Republican candidate and won that race by 15 points. The scholarship lottery that I proposed and pushed for here in the state, passed by almost exactly 2-1 and carried all 75 counties. So with respect, I'm really not buying into this left-right divide. I'm sure that there are some people that would like to frame the race that way because it might be to their political benefit.
In our final 15 seconds, sir, let me just cut you off there. In our final 15 seconds, tell me Does the chairmanship of the Agriculture Committee that Senator Lincoln holds, does that benefit Arkansans?
It does, but you won't keep that chairmanship if you don't win the general election. And I'm running 8 points better against all the Republican candidates, according to a poll released last week, than Senator Lincoln is.
Lieutenant Governor Bill Halter, Democratic candidate for Senate, thank you for joining us from Skype. Impressive, getting a candidate in front of a computer screen, put the headphones in. I'm impressed.
In Little Rock, among the Arkansans.
Thank you for joining us.
I'll never make that mistake again.